If Paulette Gabarra were alive today, she would be 18 years old. She could be attending school and having hobbies. Instead, 4-year-old Paulette Gabarra was found dead under mysterious circumstances on March 31, 2010. Her body was wedged between the mattress and the headboard of her bed. She was wearing pajamas, and blankets stained with blood were covering her. Investigators concluded that Paulette's death was the result of an accident. She had suffocated. The last time Paulette was seen alive was on the night of March 21st. She, along with her father and her 7-year-old sister, had just returned from a weekend trip to Valle de Bravo. They arrived home in Huixquilucan, Mexico, around 9 p.m. Her mother, Lizette, had not gone with them. She had been on a trip to Los Cabos with her friend Amanda. She returned home the same day as her family. According to Lizette, she clearly remembers putting Paulette to bed and kissing her goodnight before leaving the room. The next morning, Paulette's nanny informed the parents that the girl was missing. The nanny, who also worked as the family's housekeeper, said she searched everywhere for Paulette. In the bathroom, under the bed, in the closet. She even checked the parents' bedroom and Paulette's sister's room. The girl was nowhere to be found. Erica Casimiro and her sister Martha worked as maids in the luxurious 2-story apartment. Erica also helped care for the 2 girls. That morning, Erica made sure Paulette's older sister was ready for school and walked her to the school bus around 7 a.m. Later, at 8 a.m., she went to prepare Paulette for kindergarten. When they realized Paulette was missing, the maids notified the parents, and they began searching everywhere, not just in the apartment, but throughout the building. In the elevators, garden, pool, playground, and even the parking lot. After speaking with neighbors and security guards who also hadn't seen the girl, the police were called. A team of experts arrived, and the apartment was filled with police officers and detectives. However, they found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no signs of struggle, and most importantly, no trace of Paulette. Paulette's parents, especially her mother, gave numerous interviews, pleading for the safe return of their daughter. The whole country was talking about the case. On March 27th, several news crews were allowed into the Gabarra apartment. Lizette sat on Paulette's bed and gave an interview, recalling the night she put her daughter to sleep, kissed her, wished her good night, and left the room. That night, she heard no strange noises, the dogs didn't bark, and everything seemed normal. Every news outlet asked the same questions. Was Paulette kidnapped? Did she leave the house on her own? Was she murdered? The entire country was consumed by the case. Yes, I know where Paulette is, and I'll tell you everything if you help me because I don't want legal trouble. I'm scared of going to jail. I'm desperate. This was the statement that Mauricio Gabarra gave to the police before his daughter's body was discovered. Lizette Farah and Mauricio Gabarra married in 2001. With 600 guests in attendance, they exchanged vows. Lizette was the daughter of Lydia Farah Morales and Bekra Naim Farah, a Lebanese immigrant and prominent businessman. Lizette enjoyed all the privileges of a wealthy family. She attended the best private schools in Mexico and later became a lawyer. Mauricio was a successful businessman, growing his business alongside his brothers. Eventually, the couple had their first daughter, whom they named Lizette. On July 20, 2005, Paulette Gabarra was born. She arrived prematurely at 25 weeks, weighing just 800 grams and measuring 35 centimeters. She was so small that doctors didn't expect her to survive. But Paulette was a fighter. However, her miraculous birth was overshadowed by disabilities. Paulette had speech issues, and doctors said she would never walk. Yet again, Paulette proved them wrong. She learned to walk with the help of equine therapy, developing a love for horses. Raising a second child proved difficult for Lizette and Mauricio, especially compared to their first. Paulette required frequent visits to the pediatrician, expensive medications, and therapeutic sessions. She couldn't form full sentences and could only say words like mama, papa, water, and food. Although she attended school like other children her age, she still required special attention. On TV, Paulette's parents presented themselves as heartbroken, and the whole country sympathized with their grief. But soon, they became the main suspects in Paulette's death. Erica Casimiro, Paulette's nanny, later testified, "After searching everywhere for Paulette, I saw her mother sitting calmly, drinking coffee and smoking a cigarette, while the father was calmly checking the closets. Paulette's mysterious disappearance and death quickly became one of the biggest media stories in Mexico. Her mother repeatedly said that on that fateful Sunday night, her beautiful daughter vanished without a trace, leaving the family devastated. But who took her and why? No ransom had been demanded. The police claimed they had searched every room in the apartment during the week. Eventually, they concluded that the parents or the nannies were somehow involved in Paulette's death. They were the only ones present when the crime occurred. It was revealed that the parents had lied about many things. They didn't search for their daughter immediately after she went missing. The nannies did. It was the nannies who checked every floor of the building in search of Paulette. It wasn't the parents who called the police, but Mauricio's sister, after he phoned her to tell her what had happened. The family also had financial troubles, sometimes asking the Casimiro sisters, who worked in their home, for money. Their marriage was also falling apart. Lizette had traveled to Los Cabos to meet her lover, where she spent the weekend partying and drinking. Soon, the couple turned on each other. Lizette claimed that Mauricio had planned everything, while Mauricio said Lizette and the nannies were responsible for Paulette's disappearance. On March 31st, both parents and the nannies were taken into custody. They were brought to the nearest police station for questioning. Investigators noted that Lizette showed no signs of distress over her daughter's disappearance. She was defensive, anxious, angry, impulsive, and showed little empathy. Mauricio also appeared worried but didn't show signs of depression. He was evasive and uncertain. It seemed they were hiding something, knowing more about Paulette's death than they were revealing. It also came to light that on March 23rd, Lizette left with her other daughter and didn't return for 7 hours. No one knows what she did during that time. Alberto Bazbaz, a prosecutor, supported the psychologist's opinion and was convinced that Lizette was responsible for Paulette's death. He did everything in his power to prosecute her, but couldn't present enough evidence. The public also viewed Lizette as a cold-hearted mother, possibly trying to get rid of a child with special needs to regain her freedom. The investigation raised many questions. Upon arriving at the crime scene, the forensic team only searched for signs of forced entry and nothing more. Experts stated that a detective had ordered them to stop when they wanted to continue examining the scene. The crime scene was never secured. Hundreds of people entered, leaving dirty footprints behind. A friend of Lizette's even stayed overnight on Paulette's bed. Police officers working on the case were even allowed to use Paulette's bathroom. The crime scene was slowly and carelessly contaminated, and any remaining evidence was no longer useful. The unanswered questions grew. Was the girl's body hidden under the mattress the entire time? Bazbaz suggested that Paulette had likely rolled over in her sleep and got stuck between the mattress and the headboard. He said she had been dead for 5 to 9 days, possibly dying the same day she was reported missing. If detectives had searched the apartment, how did they miss Paulette's body? And if she had been dead for so long, why was there no smell of decay? The blankets covering Paulette, according to the official version, not only concealed her body but also trapped the odor of decomposition. However, forensic experts later testified that Paulette might have been dead for only 3 days before her body was discovered, suggesting that she hadn't been under the bed the entire time and that her death might have been a homicide. Additionally, the maids had made the beds after Paulette's disappearance and found no trace of her. Even the detective, during the search, lifted the mattress and blankets and found nothing. It was also revealed that Mauricio had a close friendship with the detective in charge, who, surprisingly, believed Mauricio's story and never stopped accusing Lizette. Lizette later testified in an interview, 2 years after the tragedy, that the police had constantly threatened her. She claimed there was even an instance where a gun was held to her head. Nevertheless, Bazbaz's narrative worked to some extent, and most people in Mexico believed that Lizette, the cold and distant woman they had seen on TV, was responsible for her daughter's death. The most common theories surrounding Paulette's death are: Lizette killed her daughter. Having a child with disabilities may have been too much for a woman who lacked empathy, and this seemed obvious. Lizette may have killed her daughter shortly after she disappeared and then hid her body somewhere in the house, possibly in the elevator shaft. A neighbor complained that one of the elevators was malfunctioning, or the ventilation duct. Most people in Mexico believe that Lizette is the killer. A staged kidnapping. Mauricio and Lizette had financial problems and could barely afford the apartment they lived in. Because of this, They may have staged a kidnapping, hoping to get money from Paulette's grandparents or the public. They hid their daughter in the ventilation duct or somewhere in the apartment and told her to wait there. When they realized the case had caused such a media frenzy, they panicked but couldn't get Paulette back in time. It's possible she suffocated while waiting. Paulette's 7-year-old sister may have killed her. Experts suggest that Paulette's sister felt superior to her, but was also jealous of the attention their parents gave her. Some speculate that Mauricio and Lizette may have been arguing that night. Paulette got scared, started crying, and her sister may have tried to silence her, accidentally killing her in the process.